So why is expensive skincare so expensive? What are you actually paying for? Hi, I'm Dr. Ray. I'm a board certified dermatologist, and today I'm going to talk to you about expensive versus budget brands of skincare. Is it really worth it? Does expensive mean better? And I think you've probably heard from multiple sources by now that no, expensive does not necessarily mean better. And you probably already know that intuitively. So if you've ever been at Target or any other big box store in the beauty aisle, searching for a product, seeing multiple options of that product ranging in price from anywhere from $10 to $100 with the same active ingredient, let's say it's retinol or vitamin C, something like that, and you've wondered, what is a darn difference between a $10 vitamin C and a $100 vitamin C? Should I get the $100 one? Is it worth it? Is it more effective? Or should I just be on the safe side, get the $10 one, try it out, see how my skin feels? What do I do? So if you've ever been there, you are not alone. And to be honest, pricing for skincare is sometimes random. It kind of feels that way, and sometimes it actually is. But there are other cases when there are real reasons for that price being higher, and that's what we're going to get into today. What is actually worth paying for and what isn't. So when you are purchasing a more expensive product, here are where some of those dollars are probably going. First is in the ingredient quality. Okay, so some brands source ingredients that are higher quality, meaning they are more shelf stable, they are more clinically tested, more proven, and that is where the money is going. The other is in formulation. So what does that mean? That means in the other ingredients that are not active, the non-active ingredients in the product might be higher end, they might be formulated or put together in a better way such that they actually feel better on your skin, they rub in better, maybe they give the skin a little bit more hydration or more of a glow. And that has nothing to do with the active ingredient at all, but everything to do with everything else that's in it. The third really important area where a lot of money goes is in clinical testing. And you can imagine that for some active ingredient products, like the retinoids, the vitamin C's, peptides, exosomes, growth factors, clinical testing is actually quite important because we don't just want to rely on the fact that the ingredient is in there, that it's going to do its job. Yes, maybe the ingredient itself is well proven, but the product itself might have a form of the ingredient that is not very stable, or if the dose of the ingredient is not listed, it might be in such a tiny dose that it really is not having much of an effect on your skin. So I will say a lot of times we think, let me just use it, even if it's not clinically tested per se. Let me use the product and see if it has an effect. So in that situation, we want to look at what we mean when we say it actually has an effect, because when we look at home skincare products that contain things like retinoids, retinol, vitamin C, peptides, these kinds of things, sometimes the effect of them is not immediately apparent, particularly, for example, let's say with a vitamin C product, okay? Unless you are someone who is using vitamin C to help with pigmentation, sunspots, dark spots, that kind of thing, you may not actually see the effect of the vitamin C on your skin, even if it's doing something. And when it's doing something, what that actually means is that it's helping prevent those signs of aging, the dark spots, the pigmentation, the fine lines. It's actually working in more of a preventative role, as does a lot of our home skincare products, our active ingredients. And so you're not necessarily going to see that prevention happening in the first 2 or 3 months, right? It's more of like a long game with that. So that's why it's important to ensure that when we're using actives that we can actually rely on the efficacy of the ingredient and the product. So that's where clinical testing becomes important. Some brands do focus more on third-party testing. And why do we say third-party? What does that mean? Third-party means that the company itself is not the one doing the testing, because you can imagine that when a company is testing their own product, there's a lot of potential for bias, right? So that's where third-party non-biased clinical testing comes into play, not just for safety, which of course is so important, but also efficacy and shelf stability. Another area where you might be putting in more dollars for the product, which maybe is not quite as important, is in packaging. So yeah, some brands do invest more in fancy, luxurious packaging, which really has no effect on the efficacy of the product, the quality of the product inside the package. And in those cases, really, it's just not worth it to put extra money into that. The other place is in marketing, right? So some brands do pay for celebrity endorsements, or they pay influencers online to promote their products, or they do a lot of TV advertising and in magazines, etc. That stuff costs money, and that is going to be reflected in the price. But again, that has nothing to do with the efficacy of the product, how well it's going to work for you. So that's not really something you want to invest your money in. So on the flip side, what about those budget brands? What are they doing that is making their product so inexpensive? Here are a few things that make those budget brands budget. First is they use often minimal packaging, less expensive packaging. And again, that doesn't really matter to us as consumers necessarily, right? If we see a fancy package versus a non-fancy package, we might be more drawn to the fancy package, but it doesn't change how well the product inside it works. Second, they might be focusing on more single ingredient products or single ingredient formulations. So they're not combining things like antioxidants and retinoids and emollients, hydrators, hyaluronic acid in one product. Maybe they're having everything as a standalone product, like a vitamin C, a niacinamide, a hyaluronic acid, a retinol. So then you're actually having to purchase a number of products to get the same ingredients that you would in a single product that combines ingredients. Oftentimes these budget brands are skipping the expensive marketing. They're not paying celebrities to endorse their brands. Maybe they do direct to consumer sales, so they're bypassing the wholesaler, and those savings of course can be reflected onto you. But also a lot of these budget brands don't do the third-party clinical testing to the degree that some of the more expensive brands might. And so you can imagine that that does become important when we are talking about active ingredients. Again, things like vitamin C, like the retinoids and the peptides, exosomes and growth factors. Those are categories where we really want to look at the testing and make sure that the product that we're using has been tested and proven to work and be stable, so that when it gets into your hands in your bathroom and it's sitting there for 2 or 3 months, you can rest assured that the active ingredient in there is just as potent as it was, 3 months ago. So what is the bottom line here? My bottom line is that when we are looking at certain ingredients in our home routine, we really want to rest assured that we can rely on those ingredients to be safe, effective, and tested, okay? So that is where we want to put our money. Does that mean that you need to get a $200 vitamin C serum and $150 retinol and a $200 peptide serum in order to have something effective? Absolutely not. I do think there is a sweet spot when it comes to these ingredients and products, and you don't need to go to the hundreds of dollars. Honestly, most of the time, those products are a waste of money, okay? You can get just as effective of an ingredient of a product and go a bit more conservative with the price. For example, a $10 vitamin C, I probably would not go for that one, despite what the reviews say online, okay? A sweet spot for a vitamin C product is probably somewhere in the $30 to $60 range, okay? You do not need to go for the $150 product. Like the OG gold standard vitamin C product is the SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic, which is $150. It is very expensive, and so you don't need to go that route to get a very effective vitamin C. But again, I also wouldn't go for the $10 one either. Okay, so there is a sweet spot for these ingredients in terms of the pricing. Now, I will say for certain parts of our routine, like cleansing, moisturizing, and sunscreen, absolutely do not get fancy. You do not need to go expensive on those. I'm perfectly fine with you using any budget brand that you like, that feels good for your skin, that is suited for your skin type, that is not irritating to your skin. Absolutely, you can stick to the more budget brands when we're talking about the basics: cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen. In terms of investing in your anti-aging regimen, put your money in the actives. And again, you don't have to go for the $150, $200 products. For most active ingredients, you could find something very reliable for under $100, okay? And oftentimes they are not one purpose products, they are multi-purpose. Like they're also hydrating, they might also act as a moisturizer, they might also have an antioxidant in addition to having peptides in them. So again, if we are gonna go for the more expensive ones, I would say like toward the $100 or above range, my preference really is that it is a multi-purpose product. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions about that, please drop it in the comments. I love talking about this stuff. And if you feel like you need some more help in terms of determining what's right for your skin, for your age and stage of life, for your current skin condition, and your goals for your skin, that is what I do. That is what I'm doing in my new program called Radiant by Design. This is a brand new pilot program. It has not started yet. We have not opened registration. It is coming soon. This is a highly personalized program where you tell me about your skin, your current concerns, your skin type, your age, your lifestyle, and what your goals are for your skin. And then I give you a comprehensive plan that includes not only your morning and night routine, including specific products to use, including the actives to use, but also lifestyle tweaks, habit tweaks that are really going to help amplify your results and support your skin from the inside out, really get you that inside out glow, and also in-office professional treatments that are going to get you to your long-term skin goals over the next 12 months and beyond. Okay, so that's called Radiant by Design. I'm going to put the link for the priority list in the description for this video. People on the priority list get first access to registration to be a founding member, and as a founding member, you get 50% off the program, which is amazing. And we are only taking 15 people for this pilot program because it is very high touch. I'm going to be in it with you. You're going to get really the most support and feedback and kind of access to me during this first round. So again, if you're interested in being potentially a founding member, click that link in the description, get on the priority list, and we will let you know when registration opens. So I'm so excited to see you there, and hopefully this video was helpful. And again, if you have any questions, comments, anything else you want me to talk about, drop it in the comments. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.